this like storm is going on about like treatment of women in the fashion industry, sort of off the back of treatment of women in the film industry, and it's just, there's a lot of sort of tired cliches about women designing for women and all of that, but I'm interested just kind of as that rolls on around us, like what does it feel like to be sort of a young female designer in this industry at this time, and do you feel like you're sort of fighting against sort of expectations or stereotypes, or have you found it to be a very positive experience, or, you know, what's it like being young and female right now in fashion?
I think I've been very lucky. I think I've never had. I don't think I've faced many challenges in terms of that, and I suppose in terms of kind of being like a businesswoman in fashion. I think, what was I going to say?
Big question.
It is a big question. It's hard to know kind of which angle to go on. I can't remember what I was going to say. I was going to say something about. I suppose for me, it's like fashion is so fast and there's so much of it, and it is so about kind of like people having kind of unachievable goals of being like perfect and beautiful and stunning, and I think I don't ever really want to create that kind of perfection. I think for me it's more about really having fun and like getting to know people, and I know that sounds a bit corny, but I just mean that like the process for me is not necessarily about making clothes that kind of make people look totally beautiful, which I mean it is that, but also I think it is so much about the process of how everyone feels during that process. And I know that does sound weird, but it's not necessarily about the final product. It's about like having a good time in the studio with the people I work with, and working with like women and making people feel confident and happy, rather than kind of trying to achieve this real kind of perfection, I suppose. I don't know if that's a good enough answer.
No, that makes sense. And does that relate to how you sort of want the business to grow? Like, because, you know, what are your hopes for it? Because sometimes, you know, we all presume that to be successful in fashion means that you are bought by a big group and you have stores on Mount Street and you do perfume and you know, all of that. And is that your version of success, or do you just sort of want to keep going as you are?
Yeah, I don't know. I think for me, my kind of thing at the moment is that I'd like to have a team of people that really like their job and have a job that they do, and it's just their job. Because in the beginning it was so much, you know, like I did everything and everyone did everything, and it was very blurred and very confusing. And I think success for me would be to have like a big enough studio to have a good party in, and to have like a group of people that I really like working with, and kind of, I suppose, have the freedom to like do what you want. I think there's so many pressures to like make these collections that people want to buy and the shops want to buy, and I think for me success would be to be able to like to do that comfortably, but then to also do the kind of things that no one really wants to buy, and like be very creative, I suppose.
You sort of touched on the pace of fashion there, and do you find it quite relentless, sort of that pressure to make more and more and like more seasons? And I feel like everyone's kind of questioning that at the moment, like why do we need 4 seasons a year, all of that, but do you feel quite a lot of pressure?
I do, but I quite like the pressure, I think. I work better under pressure. So we did like a pre-collection last season because we did a show at the V&A, so it kind of coincided with that, so it made sense. But and I quite liked it because it just gave me that, like, I work best under pressure. So I was saying earlier that at the moment we've got like, I've kind of got the freedom now finally to just do my job, which I guess is designing and like making the clothes. And because it's like 4 months, 5 months ahead, the show, I kind of flounder, I don't really know what to do. So I'm trying to like find things that make me have deadlines. So I like it. And I think also like, it does move very fast and there are so many demands, but so long as you kind of know when to say no to them, I find it's all right. It's when you suppose you start doing kind of like loads of exclusives for things and lose track of what it is you're actually doing.
And you're sort of making work in response to sort of what other people are telling you they want to buy and stuff like that, and you don't really, I mean, that's, see that with brands sometimes, young designers, young brands.
Yeah, I think I've probably done that already a bit as well, but I think it's just, that's something that the speed of isn't so fun when they say, oh, we need this and this and this, but that's more kind of because it's such a pain in the ass for like my production manager and the factories. But yeah, I mean, I think the pace of it is quite fun because you can't really, I suppose you can't take everything too seriously sometimes. You have to sometimes just think, oh, it's, you know, it's one show of a million that's happening twice a year, 4 times a year, and like just get on with it and do it.
Yeah, do you ever feel slightly like that, feeling like shouting into the void? Because obviously there are so many shows and so many fashion weeks, and there's always fashion week somewhere, you know. Someone's always going to a show. And do you ever feel a bit like just one tiny voice? And because I think you said a comment in another interview, which I thought was quite astute, where they were talking about you having a sort of specific style, and you said it's actually good to have a signature, particularly at the moment, like this, because it is hard to sort of get your voice heard when there's so many other young brands, and this thirst for the new can be quite stressful. How do you sort of cut through all of that noise?
Yeah, I think it's very hard. I was saying it'd be nice if at Fashion Week there could be like a limit on how many looks people could do, and if everyone just could only do 20 looks per show, it'd be kind of so much better. But
or just like 8.
Yeah, just 8, a little capsule. How do I cut through it? I suppose. I think also what's a bit hard is that once you do one thing, people expect you to do that every time, and it's a bit boring. You kind of think, oh, actually, what if I want to do something totally different? And so kind of always having to think of another like twist on a show that we do can be a bit exhausting. But I think, I don't know, it sounds a bit silly, but I think so long as you kind of like have like belief in that one thing that you're doing, or even if you really hate it, like so long as you've got kind of strong feeling about it, then I feel like it's okay to kind of keep on going. And yeah,
it was funny because when we were chatting backstage at your most recent show, you were like, I just kind of got a bit bored of Tool, like I just didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And do you ever have that where you kind of like, yeah, you sort of have that reaction to your own work? You know, some designers that say that in this interview series, they talk about how like they finish a season and then they hate it and they're like, ugh, just never want to look at it again. Do you, because people, I mean, you're sort of Mrs. Tool to so many people.
Yeah.
Like,
I am a bit sick of it though. It's like everywhere, and but no, not sick of it forever. I mean, I find it the easiest fabric to like have fun with and work with, so I will carry on with it. But I think often the shows are very much about they're kind of a whole, like a big project, I suppose. It's not just about the clothes. I'm always thinking about like how I'm going to present them at the end, what the show's going to be like, who that woman is that's wearing it, or whoever it is that's wearing it. And so I think if you think about it like that, you kind of what am I saying? What am I saying?